through the lot, now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
What's going on, people? What is going on, SG? We're back in the damn building for another match reaction. Guys, please make sure you're smashing that like button. Please make sure you share, and please make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are very, very close to that 800 subscribers, so please make sure you are hitting that subscribe button if you are brand new. So obviously we're here to talk about Liverpool. Quick match reaction to yesterday's game. Liverpool comfortable victory in the end, 3-1 against Bournemouth. First game at Anfield. Just like a quick, before we dive into like stats and things like that, just like a quick overview of the game, you know, in itself. I think it was almost like a bit of a reverse from the first game in terms of Liverpool being really, really good, or somewhat good in that first 35 minutes of the game. And then the rest of the game just being, you know, totally all Chelsea, with like a 5-10 minute period at the end for Liverpool once we had made those changes and stuff like that. This game, yeah, like I said, it was the opposite, you know, first 20-25 minutes. Well, really up until Diaz got the equalizer, it was really all Bournemouth. Maybe not say all Bournemouth, actually. I think that's a bit disingenuous. It was Bournemouth with the better team, in my opinion. Popping the ball around. This kind of new look Bournemouth. I can see what they're trying to do. I can see where the manager thinks that they've got their threats, you know, in the team. Obviously, you got Dominic Solanke up top. You got Kirkez obviously over there on the left-hand side as well, you know, providing that width and obviously bombing forward and things like that. And yeah, I think it was it was kind of like one of those kind of games. But then after Diaz scored, I felt like, you know, Liverpool did take somewhat some control, you know, in the game. Again, had their moments, you know, had their periods, you know, within the game where, you know, they again had their periods, you know, within the game where it was like a little bit, you know, yeah, it was just kind of same shit, different day, if I'm being totally honest with you. Yeah, it was really that kind of game and that kind of football. But obviously diving into the game, you know, in itself, if you take a look here, obviously Diaz, I said, let's start off here. You know, Luis Diaz. Obviously, I've spoken about Diaz before. I have obviously spoken about how much, you know, I don't necessarily want Diaz to start games, but 2 games, 2 goals, continuing on his form from pre-season. Look, he looked lively. He in that first half anyway. Well, for the duration of the game that, you know, that he was playing, kind of thing, he did look quite lively. Very good goal as well. Very, very good goal. Diaz got that in his locker. Always got that in his locker, and that was why my criticism of him was that, you know, can he provide that end product? And I think that's all we were, well, myself anyway, for you know, maybe a few other people who were not really too convinced of Diaz. Can he provide, you know, that? I mean, it's 2 games in, so who knows how that's going to end. But you know what? He's starting really, really well, and that's all I actually care about. If he can obviously provide, you know, the end product. And I think that's what he was really lacking since he kind of joined Liverpool, if I'm being honest. I think everything else that he does, like the way he plays and stuff like that, that's always kind of been there. You know, with him, he's always been that kind of guy. You know, he's shown that from before. But you know what? He's adding the goals now, man. So really and truly, I thought it was a decent performance from him. I'm not going to do no player ratings and stuff like that. There's plenty of shows out there who will do player ratings, so to speak. But yeah, for me, it was a decent performance, you know, from Luis Diaz. There were times in the game where I did feel could do a little bit better, could do a little bit more, so to speak. In terms of when he does get down that byline, you know, sometimes not trying to do too much, but ultimately, I think what he did was just about enough for me anyway to say, you know what, that was a somewhat decent performance, you know, really, really decent performance. I wanted to take a quick look now. I've done the positives now. We can get over that now. I want to take a quick look here. So obviously this is just some stats from the game in itself. Obviously you can see here that I've got these ones up first. Big chances. Liverpool obviously on the left, Bournemouth on the right. We had 4 big chances. They had 3. They missed their 3 big chances, which they should actually be scoring. From being totally honest with you, score those, totally different game. Obviously, if we scored we missed 2, scored 3 goals. So potentially, if we scored ours, would it have been a higher scoreline? Would it have been like a 5-3 type of? Who knows? But yeah, I feel like the fact that they did have those 3 big chances and they missed all 3 on top of still scoring a goal and having a goal disallowed for offside as well before they actually scored. You know, it was what's the right word? I don't want to say alarming. I feel like alarming might be too strong, but it's same shit, different day. If I'm being totally honest with you, that's just how I looked at it. Same stuff, different day. And even, you know, when we look at the first goal in itself from Bournemouth that they scored, it's just getting to the point where you're just like, yeah, this is just the way that we play and stuff like that. So obviously, this is obviously the move. They've obviously then nicked the ball. I think it was Van Dijk who tried to pass the ball into Trent. Trent's taken a poor touch. Obviously, then he's lost the ball. They've then nicked it. Billings obviously nicked it from Trent, passed it on. Well, the ball, has obviously gone forward. And you can see Semenyo on our left-hand side, but on the right-hand side for Bournemouth. You can see him on the left-hand side. Obviously, then he comes in and he obviously scores, and that was inside the 3rd minute. And you know, like I said, you know, just before that, they had a goal disallowed for offside. I think it was Anthony had a goal disallowed for offside, and it was just I don't really know anymore. I'll be super honest. I actually don't really know when it comes to these kind of things. When we're looking at this as an example, what I want to know, and people, I'm going to probably post this out as a live, so obviously everyone let me know in the comment section and stuff like that. In this position, right? Obviously Trent gets the ball. Now I'm pretty sure we'd all say that Trent is a decent ball player. I'm assuming anyway. Maybe I'm totally wrong and we all think he's shit on the ball. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with the assumption that we all think that he's good on the ball, right? So cool. If he's good on the ball, and that's Trent, I don't get what a DM does in this position. Maybe it's not for this kind of stuff, potentially. Again, like I said, I'm just making assumptions. So I could be way off. People in the chat, let me know, obviously, what you think about that. But I don't see what is going to be so much different. So we'll use Doucouré as an example because he's the new flavor of the week. We have Doucouré in that position as an example. You've got Mac Allister there. You've got Trent Alexander-Arnold there. 2 better ball players than Doucouré, but Doucouré's there now. What's the difference in that move? That's all I want to know. I'm gonna share my screen so you guys can obviously see this, because yeah, it's just getting boring, to be honest with you. I'll be so honest. It's actually just really getting boring. Boom. Let's take this off for you guys. All right, so you guys can obviously see the damn screen. You can tell I'm just like the same shit, different day, man. Honestly. Cool. So if I just enlarge that a little bit, cool. All right, you guys can obviously see that. So in this situation, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Billing. Obviously, he's tackled Trent. Obviously, Trent's obviously come inside here. Robbo's kind of like somewhere here. And then you've obviously got Semenyo, who's obviously there. Billing's obviously nicked the ball from Trent. So Trent's now here. Solanke's obviously just in between kind of thing. Konate's obviously been dragged across a little bit because we've lost the ball. So in this situation, right? Again, I ask, what does a DM do? Whoever that DM is. So Doucouré, Rodri, I don't know. Just what do they do in this position? Because the reality of it is, I don't know why I even said Konate was over here, because he was more like over here, to be honest. I think he was even out of shot in that, to be honest with you. This is how we play. It's kind of like this, especially when Alisson gets the ball. So when we do have possession of the ball, right? Alisson, obviously, like if he's got the ball, whether it's a goal kick, whether he's just got the ball in a general like open play, they do this, and he does that, right? And then you've got Robbo here. Trent comes infield. You know, you might have Mac Allister maybe just a bit over on this side. Gakpo, Lord knows what he's doing. And then you've got Robbo, who's kind of over here, right? He's not really too. Let me even be a bit more fair. You've got like Robbo kind of like here, but this is what they do. So Alisson will have the ball here, blah blah blah. Far us around. Sometimes it might even be like this, where we're trying to play like from here. Trent might potentially try and show for the ball somewhere you know what I mean, in and around here. He may potentially go out wide, but if he doesn't really go out wide, it will be Szoboszlai, who will then obviously go out wide to try and receive the ball. But let's say it's Trent, for example, he might go out wide. But in this kind of action, if this is why I keep saying I don't understand the fascination with all of a sudden people keep telling, well, I keep seeing, oh, Liverpool we're one DM away and a left-sided centre back, and all of a sudden Liverpool just changed. No, we are a better coach away. We are a better coach away. Let's get it right, please, man. I'm getting bored of these conversations. I'm getting bored of saying this every single damn week because it's just going to sound like I've got some type of hate campaign. Got nothing to do with that. It's the way that you play. Until you change the way that you play, it's just going to be the same things over and over and over and over again. Like, you can't play. I understand the split, and big up Jerry, because Jerry mentioned, Jerry spoke about this. If you guys hadn't watched it, I think it was on one of our, it might have been on the last tactical analysis that I did with Jerry on the Jerry James show. Obviously explaining, and to be honest, I'd rather you guys go out there and watch it because he explains it far better than I ever could, right? So I could only go with my kind of definition, so to speak. So I'm assuming you're going to split because obviously this is when you're playing at the back four, by the way, in my opinion. And that's something I think Jerry actually mentioned as well. Obviously you split there, then you've got, let me just take this off. Liverpool. And then you've got Trent, obviously he'll potentially should be somewhere. It's almost like a box, really and truly, if I'm being totally honest with you. It will almost be like that. Again, let Jerry obviously explain it a lot better. This is just more my understanding of it, having tried to do this before. Playing football, this is kind of how I looked at it, but I can, you know what I mean, it might be a completely different way in terms of how you might play it and etc. So then obviously they do that, everyone pushes up, potentially might be a little bit wider, so this could be a potential ball. You've got your two central midfielders who might be there to potentially show for it, blah blah blah, and then the team obviously will hopefully then move forward. But where we're playing with like I don't even know formation, I don't know, a 2/3, depending on whether Robbo or Trent decide to play as one of the defenders. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it's supposed to be Robbo, and he's up here doing Lord knows what. When you're in this position, bro, it doesn't matter what DM is going to be there, my bros, like my peoples. Like, understand that it's not going to make anything. As I mentioned in that shot, I think Konate wasn't even about. He wasn't even there, and you had just this. Let me see if I can even get the picture up again, if it will show up. Cool. Konate isn't even here in this shot. Bit of a wide shot as well. These times it's covering the whole screen, you know, covering the whole screen. But people keep telling me, yeah, we're defensive midfielder and left-sided centre back away from winning something or being a really, really top team. What? What? Do me a favor, man. Like I keep saying, we're a top coach who can play what he's trying to do away before that even bothered, before that's even a thought process, people. Like, you cannot keep doing this. Like, keep doing this with who to pass to. Because even if Trent comes in field, again, where you've got Billing, who's kind of playing as like a support striker / attacking midfielder, so to speak, who's obviously going to help out with Rothwell and Christie, but he's obviously in this instance where we obviously concede the goal, he's here, and then you've got Mac Allister, who might be just a little bit here. Like, what are you doing here? He's Quay up here. He's gone to try and do whatever he wants to do that he usually does. Who's he passing to? Like, he's going to be under, like, especially if Billing is close. Sorry, especially if Billing. There we go. Especially if Billing is close enough, because Solanke, I think, was even a little bit more in front, to be honest with you. Almost like kind of over here, a bit next to Virgil. So if you're then trying to say, if Virgil then plays that pass in, let's move Solanke out of the way. Virgil plays that pass in. All right, so I'm assuming everyone's thinking he's just going to try and pop that ball out to Konate, and potentially then the team can move forward and etc. What, that distance? By the time he's got that distance, don't he just got to do this? That's it. Like, it's like, that's a bit of a distance to try and travel. Like, I just don't understand the way that you play with this 2/3 at the back. It is just it is just confusing. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, why would you play like that? Because yes, by the way, let's not get it twisted. Trent takes a poor touch. That move in itself happens because Trent obviously takes that poor touch, blah blah blah. But who is he? We can stop that from an instant. Now, obviously, I'm going to probably do a tactical analysis with Jerry. And we took a look at the way that Brighton kind of build up their play. Brighton's is nowhere near like this. I mean, we've all seen Brighton play. We've played against them and been slapped. So I think we know what they're about and etc. And what De Zerbi does. That's not what they do, because it doesn't make any sense. Manchester City, I watched that game against Newcastle. Excellent tactical game. Go and watch the way that they build up. Go and watch the way that Rodri drops back in. Go and watch the way Akanji will potentially drop back in, then moving into that midfield / Stones. Watch the movement of these players. Watch the movement. That is so key. We're not talking about players who are elite levels above these guys, unless that's what people are telling me. Yeah, well, them man are levels above Van Dijks, the Konates, the Trents, the Robos. And cool. If that's the narrative we're going to keep pushing, then fair enough. I don't want to hear any conversations about how good these players are. That's simple as. That's fine. I can live with that, and we can move with that. But if that's not the case, which I don't think it's the case, then get a manager who understands how to utilize that or understands how to play it. And if you don't know how to play it, that is fine, bro. That is so fine. I really don't mind it, because it's almost as if we bought Mac Allister. Obviously, we wanted to get a 6. We haven't got that 6. We might potentially get one. But you're then playing Mac Allister in there. I think you use the guy properly in this position. Please use the guy properly in this position, because it is just becoming boring. Like, oh my God, like every time I watch Liverpool try and build up from the back, if it's not that, it's Van Dijk doing the Hollywood ball over to bloody thing, or Trent gets the ball and it's just hoof to Salah and pray that he's able to beat his man. If he's quicker than him, then great, then we've done it. It's just so basic. It is so embarrassing sometimes watching Liverpool. Like, the way Liverpool build up is just terrible, man. So terrible, considering that we actually have ballers. That's what annoys me. That's why I keep going on about it, because it's not like if we didn't have ballers and I could understand the dynamic of the team and be like, bro, we just need to get the ball as far away as possible. Fair enough. But man, tell me that Konate is this good. People tell me Van Dijk is the best. Robbo's this. Trent is that. If that is the case, come on, man. We cannot keep allowing this to be a thing where we just, yeah, it's fine. Obviously, we ended up winning the game 3-1, even though we went down to 10 men, which I think we actually played better with the 10 men. But obviously, no one's then gonna talk about it. That's all. And again, I didn't even see any notion of that, after the game, in terms of I'm looking at reactions and looking at what people are saying and, all this kind of stuff. Like, it just seemed like everything went perfect to plan. That's exactly what was supposed to happen, X, Y, and Z. And I'm just like, yo, okay, fair enough. But obviously, it is what it is. That was that. They scored that goal. And then obviously we move forward. As I mentioned before, Diaz then obviously getting the goal. And like I mentioned, fantastic goal. The way he flicked that ball up, boom. And everything happened all in like one motion, which is what I really liked from Diaz. And as I mentioned before, long as he keeps giving you that end product and all of that kind of stuff, then yeah, man, I won't mind him playing. I really won't mind him playing. He's probably going to play the next game anyway, because he's in form, 2 goals out of 2. And then obviously we can move from there. Then obviously, in terms of the other goals, obviously then Mo Salah, he obviously then scores from a rebound of the penalty. Obviously, I've spoken with the guys in the group chat, and we were talking about, whether Mo Salah should still be on penalties and stuff like that. Probably not, especially now, because you have Szoboszlai and Mac Allister. You have actually got other players. I would understand it if we hadn't signed Mac Allister and Szoboszlai and signed like 2 other people. And then obviously we'd lost Milner, Fabinho, who are 2 other very good penalty takers. Then I would be like, well, then who else is going to take it? I don't trust anybody else, to stick the ball in the back of the net from 12 yards. But when you have got these 2 other players, I think Mac is 9 out of 10. Szoboszlai is like 15 out of 16. So they both only missed 1, very good rate. So yeah, but as I mentioned in the group chat, I think it's the same thing. You guys let me know. Do you think we should just take Salah off the penalties, blah, blah, blah? And also let me know, do you see Salah accepting being taken off penalties? I think that's even bigger than worrying about who's going to take the penalties next. Do you get what I mean? Because both Szoboszlai and Mac Allister both have a claim to take those penalties. But does anybody see a world that Salah's going to be like, yeah, don't worry, man. I'll take less goals in a season? Yeah, come on. Not going to happen. I mean, it's just not going to happen. He's never going to agree to something like it. It would probably really take Klopp to actually be like, no, like, you're not taking one. From now we're going to try someone else. Peak if that whoever the next person is was to miss, because then boy, do you know what I mean? Then there's peak for Salah if that person is then to score, because then that means that Salah ain't going to be back on penalties anytime soon, unless that person then obviously starts missing and stuff like that. So yeah, scores from the rebounds, cool. And then obviously the third goal coming from Diogo Jota, a shot from Szoboszlai from outside the box. Keeper parries it, lucky goal. Diogo Jota sniffs them out. He does that really, really well. I like Jota, man. I really do. I like Jota. I think in this team, in this system anyway, to be honest with you, even before when people, there was like little murmurs. I wouldn't say it was reports, it was more murmurs from like the fan base because of his injury record and stuff like that, whether or not they felt Jota should leave. I was the one who's probably saying, get a good bid for Jota. Yeah, I'm kind of down with it. To be honest, there's no player really in the team that I'm that fussed about if they were to leave, I'll be honest. As long as the right money came in, I reckon I wouldn't be too fussed, because I feel like the type of team that we should be anyway. Not saying you just let go of your best players, of course not. Obviously, you fight for those best players. So whether it's a Salah, a Trent, Van Dijk, Alisson, or Alisson probably being the only one where I'm looking at him and he was a bit weird yesterday. I'll tell you that much. But Alisson probably being the only player in the team that I would look at and say, yeah, like the type of money that you'd have to spend to even buy him, I don't see anyone even trying to do that. So, you know, it will be fine regardless. Like you're looking at upwards of like 200 million, you know, for a keeper like Alisson, in my personal opinion, if you're looking at then today's market and stuff like that. Anything under, I feel like you'd be devaluing him, to be honest with you. You know, he's the best keeper, in my opinion, out there. But Ali has moments of lapses too. Got himself a yellow card in that first, yeah, like I said, 20-25 minutes. Yeah, he was looking shifty. He was looking real shifty. But that's Alisson, though. That is Alisson. That is Alisson's game, because after that point, he was calm. Made a very good save towards the end of the game. Can't remember who it was. Where he saved it from, might have been for Max Aarons. But yeah, you know, very, very good save. And that is Alisson in a nutshell. That game epitomizes what Alisson's all about. Banging goalkeeper, but I promise you, sometimes this guy will just do the madness. He will actually just do the madness, and you'll just be sitting there thinking, I don't get how someone so good has these moments of like lapses of concentration, like, but to such a detriment to the team. Like, it's not even like you've had a bit of a lapse of concentration and it went a little bit unnoticed because it didn't really, bro. He has these lapses of concentration where you're just like, bro, it always happens when you're the last guy, bro. Like, I can't have you doing some of the stuff and you yourself getting yourself a yellow card for a stupid tackle. That's dumb. That was so dumb. But that's Alisson, literally in a nutshell. Sick, best keeper in the world. But sometimes he'll leave you on the edge of your seat thinking, I don't really know about that guy. I can't remember who it was. We spoke about Alisson like a few years ago, and we were saying Alisson's one of those guys, like, as I mentioned, that where he's a top goalkeeper, it's like top goalkeepers always seem to be the crazy ones. We know how Schmeichel was top goalkeeper. He was a bit crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like the way he used to behave towards like his teammates and stuff like that, potentially shouting at them and stuff. But in today's modern football, Alisson is that kind of crazy. Like, honestly, he is that kind of crazy, you know, individual. But nonetheless, I think the rest of the game, he was calm, you know, after he kind of got over that, you know, in a general sense. And then obviously we go to the two talking points in the game. I think we'll start off with, before I even start talking about certain players and stuff like that, which we'll get into in a second, obviously for Liverpool's second goal. Look, let me know, people. Let me know. If this happened against us, it's probably the best way I can put this. If this happened against us, would you be standing there saying that's a blatant penalty? i.e. VAR don't need to check that. I can't remember VAR. I don't feel like they did. Maybe they did. If so, apologies. But I don't remember them checking this one. But if this happened against us, Szoboszlai, the way he went down, minimal. I mean, there was contact. Of course, there was contact. But was the contact a Bournemouth player to Szoboszlai, or was it Szoboszlai to the player? That's all I'll ask. That's all I want to know. Do you know what I mean? Like, do we think it was that? Do we think he kind of dived a bit? Me personally, I'm saying that's no penalty. Because if that happened to me, I'll be sitting there thinking, bro, you gave a penalty for that. Like, that is actually brazy. Like, that is genuinely brazy for you to even give a penalty for something like that. But he gave the penalty anyway. Most side obviously missed, which I thought at the time, I was like, before he obviously went into, which I could see he was about to score the rebound. But when the keeper did save it, I was like, kind of justice is served, you know, I can't even lie. Because I would have felt very aggrieved if that was me, if I'm being totally honest with you. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think it was a penalty or not? Like, kind of thing. Do you think it was one of them ones? We'll get on to how Szoboszlai played yesterday, because obviously I'm hearing this is the new Gerrard. But yeah, like in that kind of sequence, I think I don't know if there's new rules with the referees and stuff like that, because I know there is, because I'm seeing yellow cards dished out for more or less. It's almost like we're getting yellow cards just for contact. Like, honestly, we're actually getting yellow cards almost just for the contact. This ain't the NBA. I mean, this ain't basketball. Like, players do need to have some level of contact within the game, otherwise it's going to turn into an NBA style type of game. So yeah, it's a bit weird this beginning of the season, but anytime there's like new rules being dished out and stuff like that, I always feel like referees go overboard, like they go too far with it, kind of thing, where it's like they almost don't even use any level of discretion or whatever. It's just straight away, yep, these are the exact rules, blah blah blah. But at the same time, I can't really complain. I can't even complain, because slyly I have actually been asking for more things like that, especially with things like handball. Like, there just needs to be one rule and one rule only. Hits your hands, obviously, of course, and unless it's a genuine accident, and again, I think we can all understand what a genuine accident will be. In that kind of instance, obviously, if someone's like literally a yard or two away from you and they flick it up and it hits your hand, that's accidental. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, you ain't got no time to move your hands out of the way. But other than that, I'm like, a handball's a handball kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, for me, for me. But obviously the rules don't really state that. So, it is what it is. And that obviously then brings us onto our next talking point of the game. And this is Mac Allister. I've seen a lot of people talk about this, man. I am 60-40. 60 in favor of, yeah, that's a red card. 40 of, nah, I don't think it's a red card. I think a yellow would have sufficed. But again, this goes down to the rules of the game. I feel like the reason why he gave that red card was more to the rules of the actual game, in terms of obviously there being contact, Mac Allister's foot being higher, then going into the player's leg. So does that then warrant the red card? Slyly, yes, but it was a coming together. So I'm a bit like, I don't know. It was a coming together. Like, well, the fact that it was a coming together shouldn't actually really play no part, because that's not the issue. The issue is, where's Mac Allister's foot? Where is his foot? Where does his foot land by the time they both come out of this challenge? And from what I saw during the game, this might not be the best freeze frame, but from what I saw during the game, I felt like his foot has obviously hit Christie's lower part of his leg, just obviously shin area kind of thing. So I'm looking at that thinking, okay, if that's the case, and if that's what they're going with, then yeah, that's a red card, because you can't do that because he's got his stud show. But if it's not, then yeah. So again, for me, like I said, I'm 60-40, but I can understand both sides. I understood why the referee sent him off, but then I also understood why everyone was so aggrieved about it and was like, nah, that's not a red card, boom, boom, boom. I could see both sides. So I'm almost sitting on the fence, but at the same time, I'm leaning more towards it being more of a red more than anything, i.e. that was more of a red than Szoboszlai's was a penalty. Let's put it that way. But hey, we're all looking for consistency. I don't know if we're getting it at this current moment in time. It's 2 games into the season. Will we get it towards the end? I pray we do, because yeah, there's going to be some upsetting things happening in games. And we saw obviously last season, remember the Liverpool-Tottenham game at Anfield, some of the decisions that went there. Skip, Jota, both should have been off. Both weren't. Well, I can't remember if any of them actually went off. No, none of them did actually. None of them. So yeah, I think it's just one of those kind of things anyway. But I think those are the 2 contentious, obviously, decisions within the game that kind of obviously swung. Well, one of them swung in Liverpool's favour, the other one didn't. Although, in saying that, retrospect, when you look at it, when Liverpool went down to 10 men, we actually looked like we were playing a little bit better, a little bit better football, which is so weird, very, very weird. Yeah, I don't really understand how that happens, but hey, we ended up playing better, and then was able to go on and get that victory. We look here. No, people, this is not a average position from our last game, or the game before that, or the game before that, or the game before that, or the game before that. It's from yesterday's game. Same things, same usual kind of stuff. As you can obviously see here, you've got the back 3. I don't even need to describe it. I reckon I could have got literally any other game and it looks exactly the same. You can see where the problems lie. You can understand why we always have issues in terms of defending, kind of thing. In games, obviously looking at Bournemouth's one, they were kind of set up a bit weird themselves. Although I think number three is Kirkes. So you got the left back, two centre backs, 25 and 27, and then the right back, number 37. Yeah, you can kind of see that there. Then you got your two defensive mids. Then obviously you got Billing up there. And then Semenyo was coming inside quite a lot, which I felt like in the first 20 minutes, that was causing a bit of issues, kind of thing, because he was almost like he was just being able to just kind of roam. Do you know what I mean? Let me see if I can get the tactics up again for you guys. So yeah, you almost had like a situation. You guys can see it, yeah. You almost had a situation where when they were kind of like set up, if I just move these guys, it's funny because this is exactly what the heat map actually looks like. And you got Salah there. Anthony was kind of playing quite close, if I'm being totally honest with you. He was playing very, very close to Kirkes as well. They were kind of trying to work, but I understood why that they were trying to do that, because they were obviously thinking we can try and double up on either, well, Trent's never really there, but say we'll try and double up here on Konate in himself. So if we can potentially isolate him and potentially double up in that sense, then fine. And then you've got here where he knows Robbo's obviously pushed up here. Really and truly, he's almost trying to form as a support striker /2 here when Billing then obviously pushes up. So you've got almost two attacking midfielders, and then you've got Solanke there. And then obviously when they win the ball, they've got the two of them in those kind of positions to be able to try and obviously hurt our back line. Solanke was kind of kept quiet, if I'm being honest, in the game. Virgil played pretty decent, if I'm being totally honest with you, in this game. He was showing quite a lot. He was actually showing quite a lot, but that's kind of how I looked at it in regards to their kind of attack. Just typical Liverpool, to be honest with you, man. Honestly, it's just getting boring. Just same thing, same shit, different day. We look at Gakpo in that midfield again. We already know. Do I need to go over it? It doesn't work. Horrible in that position. Horrible game yesterday, in my personal opinion. That's 2 games now. We've seen him in this number 8 position. I ain't seeing nothing that's telling me yet he needs to play there. And then obviously subsequently then has an issue then with like someone like Jota, because then I'm almost like, Jota, what is your role within that team? Because at times it's almost like you're getting confused at times with then Gakpo being in that position. Obviously they might swap every now and again. Jota might potentially try and, pull off of the what do you call it? The centre backs, almost in that gap between the centre back and the right back. Yeah, the right back. So it'll be a Lewis. Yeah, so centre back and the right back, almost try to play in that gap kind of thing. But then Diaz is obviously also there as well. So at times it does get a little bit confusing, if I'm being totally honest with you. But hey, he got his goal yesterday. He just needs to work on letting that ball kind of stick at times. But I just think when Gakpo and Jota are not playing in their rightful positions, I feel like this is where we don't really get that kind of cohesion and link up. Hence why, even for the Newcastle game, I mean, Newcastle at right back, can't remember. Trippier. So you got Trippier there at right back. So it's going to be a tough old game next week, isn't it? It's going to be a real tough old game to try and see how it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Luis Diaz will do up against a Trippier in that position. And then obviously Shaw and Thing, maybe we're going to need something potentially different. Maybe you do need then a Gakpo in those kind of positions, playing in that role next to Diogo Jota, where we can then link up pretty well. And then obviously Salah being Salah kind of thing. It's going to be very interesting. That one, obviously, we'll do a preview, for that kind of game. But I'm just intrigued to see how we would set up and how we would play in that kind of game against the Newcastle side, coming off the back of that 1-0 defeat to City, and how they kind of defended in that game. I was like, wow, okay. They really understood the assignment. Obviously, City still scored because City are City, but they understood the assignment, so to speak, kind of thing. But their problem was obviously going the other way. So yeah, like I mentioned, it'll be very interesting. But that's obviously for another day. Let's take a look at Alexander-Arnold. I felt he had another poor game as well. I think him and Gakpo were the 2 poorest players that we had. I just don't get this playing. Like, we're too direct at times. You're so direct for a team who have a bunch of ballers. That's the bit that I think confuses me the most. You're so direct for a team who does actually have ballers in the team. So Trent will 12 long balls, only 4. You know what I mean? Were accurate. 8 crosses into the box, only 1 on target. You know what I mean? He had good accuracy in passing, so to speak. 3 key passes as well. Lost possession 19 times. Ground duels he was really good in. Errors leading to goal, obviously that's never going to look good. And yeah, it was like stats wise, it looks okay. Performance wise on the pitch, it didn't look okay to me. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I just feel a lot of people spoke about, and a lot of people got gassed when they saw Trent playing in this inverted new role. New role somewhat, so to speak, back in the last season. Oh my days, this guy's going to come with God knows how many in assists next season or this season, blah, blah, blah. At the moment, from what we're seeing, I don't see that at all. Like, there's zero evidence to even show that or suggest that he's going to be providing that kind of attacking output, within the team. Now, that might just be because we've got Szoboszlai, we've got Mac Allister there, other players who can do those kind of things, in that attacking third. But at the moment, I'm just not really seeing it with Trent Alexander-Arnold in this inverted role. All I'm seeing is Liverpool getting exposed, to be honest with you, just like we was before when he was playing right back. We're just still getting exposed. Only difference now, he ain't there. Do you know what I mean? He ain't there, or he's having a hard time, getting back into that position. So I'm just like, not really benefiting us in that kind of sense. When he does have the ball and he's got time to do whatever he wants to do, he looks like one of the best players in the world. Unfortunately, when you're playing in that kind of midfield position, when you don't always have that kind of time and you can't always just sit there and do this, that, and the third, I'm just like, bro, you something needs to change in that regard. I don't know what though. I don't know whether it's you just change his positioning a bit, what he actually does with the ball, all these kind of little various things. This is what Klopp's there for. I mean, this is the guy who's getting paid the big bucks. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's just weird, man. In terms of the performance in itself, it's like convincing victory. I just don't think it was a convincing game though. But who cares? You got the 3 points. We move 1-3-1. If that's us not being convincing, I would love to see what we look like when we are. I think we'll notice the difference. I'll die on that hill. I think us as fans will notice when Liverpool have had that A game and we walked away with 3 points and everyone's like, that was the game right there. Like that game right there. That's the level that you need to try and hit as much as possible, more often than not, kind of thing. I just think at the moment it's just everything is just all over the gaff. And speaking of all over the gaff, this man right here, Dominic Szoboszlai, very, very good performance. I think people need to calm it down. I really, really do. Don't like being a Debbie Downer, but someone's got to do it at the end of the day. The conversations and talks that I'm seeing after this game against Bournemouth is like, oh my goodness, we may have found our KDB. Oh my goodness, this is the new Steven guys. Let's just take it down a notch, I beg, because this can't be his best. Because if this is his best, then that's not good. This isn't. Like, I've seen Szoboszlai play way better than this anyway. Do you get me? And I'm not even talking about goals and assists. I'm just talking about better performances. I've seen him play way better than this. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And I think the hype right now is mad. He had a very good performance, though. Very, very good performance. In terms of he was the best midfielder that we had. Very good passing accuracy. He was popping it around, but on the flip side of things, he was just running around a lot. That's why I was so confused because I didn't watch the game at first live, when everyone else watched it at 3:00. So when people are talking about, I'm just seeing the goals obviously fly in, and then I'm seeing what people are saying, and everyone's like, oh my goodness, Szoboszlai, this guy is so sick. Oh my goodness, he is this and that. And I was like, oh, right, okay, cool, say no more. I'm expecting, an all action, kind of display from Szoboszlai. I'm expecting him to, have set up a goal or do, like, I don't know. I'm just expecting probably the most, maybe I was expecting potentially even too much, so to speak. I'm expecting a Steven Gerrard performance, effectively. That was not Steven Gerrard performance. Let's cut the crap. That was not Steven Gerrard performance. That was a decent to good performance against a Bournemouth side. No disrespect to Bournemouth, but we're playing against Bournemouth. Let's just a little bit. That's all I'm asking. Let's just chill. You get what I'm trying to say? Like I think when we start going over the top like this is why then you'll get mocked, because ultimately you're putting yourself in position where you're well, I mean, if you don't mind it, then fair enough, but you're putting yourself in position whereby it's like the second that person does wrong, because remember, this isn't a player who's built up like a Salah or like a Trent or a Van Dijk and stuff like that, where they've been doing this for so long at such a consistent level that when they do fuck up or they do something mad or blah 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 blah, you're almost like everyone has in the back of their mind, it's just a blip, or it's don't worry, they'll get back to it. And people, and it's just not people, just in a general sense, you're more likely to give a bit more of a bly to something like that. He hasn't hit those levels yet. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I think we just need to dial it down just a little bit. But like I mentioned, he was everywhere. He was running around. It was a Henderson performance with tech. That's how I looked at his performance, watching the game back yesterday. It just looked like a Henderson performance, running around. He was here, he was there, he was popping the ball off. He took a shot. Jota then scores. When we went down to 10 men, he played a bit of a deeper role as well. He done what the manager asked him to do. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Hence the reason why I say good performance. If you've done what the manager asked you to do and it helps us towards victory, there's only so much. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. But when you're actually looking at the kind of performance, I wasn't like it wasn't anything to really write home about. It was just, like I said, it was a Henderson performance. Just you could tell the difference. And I think something that me and the guys were talking about in the group chat again, it's like where we're starving, like anything that's better than Henderson, I think we're doing too much of this. We're going so above board kind of thing. Anything that's better than a Fabinho, we're going so above board, when really that should be like a bog standard performance. Like that's your base level. Like I expect you to perform like this and more often than not throughout the season kind of thing. If you drop below that, then I'm like, well, what, I mean? Henderson was doing good. Like it doesn't make any sense. So I just think, it is one of those kind of things. But ultimately, you think he played good? He played good. If you liked his performance, you liked his performance. I ain't here to tell anybody anything. I'm just looking at it the way I see it, is that I just felt like it was a bit over the top. I don't think anyone played excellent, let's put it that way, in order for me to be like, oh my goodness, like this was amazing and blah, 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 and, yada, yada, yada kind of thing. So, but he was, for me, the best player that we had on the pitch anyway. And one thing that I did like about him, his football IQ is really, really good. You can see that. I mean, we already knew that for those who have watched him, but I can see it. Football IQ is really, really good. Understanding of the role being asked, he seems to understand it just like that and very, very quickly. Of course, it's just not the role I want to see him in. I don't like seeing him in these positions. I think you are absolutely wasting something Klopp does really well. You're wasting that talent, killing the creativity and all sorts. But if he can do it and he's doing it well and it helps the team, I've got to live with it myself. That's a me problem right there. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And I'll put that onus on myself anyway, because of the expectations I have for Szoboszlai and what I believe and I think he can potentially do in the future. But that's on me. This ain't on anybody else. That's just on me and my own expectations. Everyone's got their own different types of expectations as to what it is they like, see, and all these kind of things. So that's just more of a me problem. But ultimately, that's just how I kind of viewed it. When it did come to Szoboszlai. And I think we'll end it there with Kloppo. Needs to stop playing the Gakpo in midfield. Needs to stop doing that. It is not working. He cannot do it. It doesn't make any sense. He does not have the attributes. Why do you keep doing it? I don't know. But cool, you keep doing it. That's your business. Let's see how long that can kind of last. Hopefully, if he is to try and do that again against a Newcastle, I'm just hoping we win, because it will be a very, very long evening up there and up at Newcastle. Like I mentioned before, I just don't like the way he sets up in games and the build-up play that he's trying to do. I'm not really feeling it. I think he should be giving the defenders and the defensive midfielders different instructions, but that's just my own personal opinion. What else? Obviously, Núñez dropped again. Does he drop Núñez again for the third game? Does he deserve to be dropped? Me, yes. But I know everyone keeps saying, oh, if Núñez can't play these kind of games, then when does he play? I always say it to people all the time. The manager is telling you something, but you choose to ignore it. And you go away and everyone runs with their own narrative. Brother, he's telling you don't rate man like that. He doesn't look at him like that. He's not the first choice striker. He won't at this moment in time, at this point. And let's even take it back towards the back end of last season. So since the back end of last season till this point right now, 2 games into the new season, he is not his guy like that. I don't think there is a world where he would, at this moment, this things obviously change. Players will probably get in if Gapper was to get injured or something. It could potentially change in that kind of sense. So it'll be more of a forced thing, anyway. But at the moment, yeah, it's just not really his guy. And I think apparently from what I heard, I don't know, so please do not quote me. I heard that Darwin Núñez apparently stormed off after the game down the tunnel. I do not know, so I'm not even going to question that in itself. Maybe someone in the chat or whatever can tell me and let me know, but that's just from what I heard and kept seeing around that, Núñez has stormed off and blah, blah, blah. Ultimately understandable. You're the big money signing. You ain't playing. Got other guys starting in front of you. I mean, what do you guys think he needs to do to be able to get into the team? Obviously, we saw his form during pre-season. That's pre-season. Now we're down to the big time. Now we're here at the big time, and the guy is not starting. He doesn't deserve to start. I don't want him to start anyway, but he's just not starting. He's coming on in games for however many minutes to try and have some type of impact, stuff like that. It's going to be difficult for him, but maybe he just needs to work harder in training, maybe just understand more of what the manager wants him to do and stuff like that. And then maybe potentially he might be, in a position, to potentially start. But look, it was a 3-1 victory. It was a convincing victory in the end. Performance still a bit 6, 7-ish out of 10. 7, I'll give it a 7 out of 10 if I had to give it a rating in that kind of sense. In terms of the performance, I mean, it's up from the Chelsea game where I would have given that like a 5.5 or a 6 in that kind of game. But yeah, maybe hopefully this is just kind of us working towards, the future in terms of what we're trying to do. If we do get this supposable DM, I'm hoping Liverpool change the way that we play completely. If we do sign this DM, that's the only way I see us getting a DM making any level of sense. Just quickly, obviously, Endo came on when we were down to 10 men. Yeah, didn't really notice him, apart from there was one moment where he's allowed Semenyo him and others, actually, to be fair. There was a few of them, but he was the last one there. Well, I say last one there. He was the one who could have stopped the cross at that time. Didn't. They had a chance, should have scored. That's probably one of their big chances that they've missed. But other than that, he looks for the ball quite a lot. Does look like the pace. I know everyone's saying, he's only been in one day, blah, blah, blah. I'm hoping that is the case. But yeah, it just looked like the pace. Like, I mean, I don't know if I expect him to be faster. I don't actually know. I actually really don't know. I don't feel like he's a fast player. I feel like he's just, when it comes time to get that burst. Some players just have they got like a 5-10 yards, they can just push kind of thing. They're not even relatively quick over long distances, but that 5-10 yards, that quick push, they're usually quite good at it. That's how I kind of look at him. But yeah, I mean, his in terms of receiving passes, not afraid to, obviously he was bombing forward at times, when he did play that pass. I don't know if that's the task that's been asked of him or what's been told. We were down to 10 men. So yeah, I didn't want to rate him either way or anything like that. So I wouldn't judge his performance too tough. There were some things I liked in there. There were some things I didn't really like in there. So let's just hope we see, a little bit more from him, potentially against Newcastle. And, we'll just have to wait and see, in regards to that, man. But look, that's my match reaction. There's going to be a bunch of you who are going to disagree. I don't care. Let me know in the chat what you guys are obviously thinking. There's obviously some good points. There's some bad points. Man of the match probably was Szoboszlai, in my opinion. Worst player of the game. It's a toss-up again between Trent and Gakpo. I'm leaning more towards Trent, if I'm being honest with you. He does need to step up his game. Everyone told me that he's got his trim back, this 1920 trim. I'm not seeing 1920 trim. I'm seeing 19-year-old Trent. That's what I'm seeing. But I ain't seen the 19 to 20 season kind of feel. But you know what? Let's wait and see. Still a long way to go. 2 down, 36 to go for Liverpool. And that's now 4 points from the opening 2 matches. I think we've got Newcastle in our next game. Let's wait and see how that goes. Let me know, obviously, what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm G. Make sure you guys are headed over to the Jerry James Show to check out Player Watch. And we are out.